The name of this book is The Elite's Diary, Walking a GBS Journey. It is about the journey of GBS students from start to finish. The book is written by 40 different GBS alumni and students, and it is divided into 6 different chapters, including admission, CUHK, exchange, career, interpersonal, and after graduation. The objective of this book is to share experiences with fellow schoolmates and also secondary school students on university life in general.
The idea for publication came over a leisurely lunch break at the school canteen. I was talking to a non-business major, and he asked me, "Do you really think that all GBS students will necessarily work at investment banks, and that students from other faculties will necessarily become beggars?" Of course not. I was very surprised and overwhelmed by such remarks, and that's why we've decided to gather true stories from our fellow GBS classmates, and by putting them on paper, we hope to clear some of these common misconceptions. Most importantly, we also hope that our stories can encourage, even inspire, our fellow peers as they're going through their university journey.
The reason why I decided to contribute to community when I was young, basically because I think we have a saying that we are all master of our soul, we are all master of our fate. But one thing we can't choose in life, and that's where you were born. So I was lucky enough to be born in a low-income, humble family in a wealthy Hong Kong, where I have a chance to work hard to get into a world-class university and slowly climb up the social ladder to change my living standard of my family and myself. But if you look at the world out there, if you look at Palestine, Israel, many children were boomed to death. If you look at the West Africa, the spread of the fatal disease, then many were killed when they were born. If you look at some of the surrounding areas in Hong Kong, like Sham Shui Po or Tin Shui Wai, some of the kids, they were studying and playing in a double-decker bed, day and night without air conditioning. So if you see all these stories around you, I think I'm very lucky that I have a chance to get educated. So I see no way why I'm not contributing, why I'm not helping more young people to create even more success stories, to inspire the others, and to change the social dynamic situation in Hong Kong. So that's why some of my friends and I have set up the first sports charity in Hong Kong. It's called the Inspiring Hong Kong Sports Foundation. So some of us are actually lawyers, bankers, and we have the same goal that we want to use sports as a hook to attract young people to come and learn about different perspectives in life and to train their sportsmanship, and more importantly, to build up their social network and to have international exposure. Because we sponsor these young people with 2-year free sports training in running, in hockey, in fencing. So they have a chance to get educated, get training, and more importantly, to attend different competitions and tournaments outside Hong Kong. So they have a chance to see the world same as me. So I think the reason why I want to contribute is simply because I get educated, I get the benefit, and I really want to share this and to inspire even more. So that's why I think the GBS program is a good start for me to learn and then to contribute.
In my article, I was talking about how me, as I was different from other people in my batch pursuing for a career in finance, I felt like I was kind of like a lamb lost in the herd. And I think in my article, actually, I was challenging this very idea of why we have a group mentality in our batch, but also generally in business education. For me personally, I don't think there is a set definition of what it means to be a leader, of what it means to be a business leader specifically. I think every one of us can contribute to society in our own ways given our different talents. And one other point of why I was feeling very different from other people is that I wanted to focus more on the process of the 3 years of education in itself, not only focusing on the outcomes of our education. In the article, I was also reflecting on the very essence of education. Education should be for all the students to explore who they are instead of giving them boxes of who they should be. And I think we were fortunate enough to be in the Chinese University of Hong Kong because it was really about the process of learning who you are and learning about your virtues, your values, and that we were able to take classes outside our subject, our major. So we had to take classes from history, from philosophy, from science, etc. So that was a very good exposure for all of us to jump outside perhaps the herd mentality and then to discover who we really are. Okay. And in my very own personal journey, the process of discovering who I am led me to understand that actually my biggest passion is working in NGOs and social enterprises, especially on the cause of women empowerment. And that is why when we were in the United States, we came across social entrepreneurship, and that made me and another of my classmate, Peggy, set up a nonprofit social enterprise called Lensational. It aims to empower women through photography. And in the past year, we've been empowering 150 women, mostly in Hong Kong, but also in Pakistan and Myanmar. So I think this is perhaps one process of how I personally try to jump out of the box and perhaps redefine a different career path for GBS students.
My article is called A Journal in NYC, a Capriccio of an International Megalopolis. So it is basically a journal entry that talks about my experience at New York City, including how I navigated through their subway system and also my encounters with some Indian Americans. I reflected on the work hard, play hard culture of the US, as well as how different people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities are able to chase after their American dream. I'm also interested to know what essentially makes a city an international megalopolis. Is there anything that we can borrow from NYC and bring it back to Hong Kong in making Hong Kong a better place to live?
I wrote an article called A Reachable Dream, which is about my story from secondary 3 to entering university. When I was a secondary school student, I wasn't the brightest one and in a very ordinary secondary school. it was not a very elite secondary school. But then coincidentally, I read the story about Matthew Leung, who used to be a Tri Society member, but he eventually obtained the 10 Outstanding Young Persons Award. And then at that time, I felt like, wow, he could do that, so why couldn't I? Why couldn't I become a much better person? So at that time, I realized that I could be better, and then I worked really hard. And then later on, I read something about GBS, and I felt like it is a really good program. It gives people a lot of traveling opportunities, and it's one of the brightest programs in Hong Kong. But then I realized that I wasn't good enough, but then I still treated it as my dream. It was a dream that was not reachable in many people's eyes. But then I didn't give up. I worked really hard, and eventually I made it. So I feel like all of us should have a dream, and then you shouldn't be scared by how difficult it is to reach it. But if you work hard and you have the vision, then you can do it eventually.